While nobody knows when cruises will actually restart, one Wall Street analyst thinks they might not restart until late 2021 or early 2022. Yikes! I'm going to dig into what this means up next. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. And if you're looking for a glass is half empty prediction, I know that some of the people in the comments definitely go in that direction. Well, this one is a definite doozy. One Wall Street analyst recently talked about the likelihood of cruises restarting, and it's really not great news for cruise fans. Now, Wall Street analysts often issue notes, and notes are essentially explanations behind why a certain analyst thinks a particular stock is a good buy or not. Think of it as like color commentary for why, a certain stock is a buy or sell or hold or what have you. And in this case, Truist Securities analyst Patrick Scholes wrote in a note that cruises will not likely resume in the U.S. until the second half of 2021 under the best of circumstances, and possibly not until early 2022. Mr. Scholes wrote the note indicating a changing look at the prospects of cruising restarting. Quote, the sentiment for 2021 has now changed to it's possible 2021 will not be a return to revenue sailings in North America, or at least not before, end quote. Now, this sounds really bad, and certainly even just reading the headline for this YouTube video probably get some people thinking, oh boy, this is the end, right? I mean, boy, that's terrible news. We're sitting here in January, almost an entire year without cruises, and even then, who knows? But if you dig into the note a little more, it's not quite as clear that even Mr. Scholes believes that. He added that while cruise bookings are exceeding cancellations, quote, we now see July as the best case for restart, end quote, though the fourth quarter is most likely. An addition quote from him is, consensus expectations are for a return to revenue sailings in the second quarter 2021 with an acceleration in third quarter 2021, which we do not see as realistic, Scholes wrote, adding that stocks have, quote, so far shrugged off unabated delays in restarting. Now, I also have to point out that Mr. Scholes has no more inside information than any of us do. There isn't an inside track. Analysts don't get inside information, or they're able to peek behind the curtain, so to speak. And a lot of this is just pure, unadulterated speculation. Now, I'm not saying Mr. Scholes is right or wrong. I certainly don't know. Nobody knows, and I think that's the hardest concept for a lot of people to understand, that there isn't an inside track to any of this. In a nutshell, there's not enough information and too many variables to make any kind of accurate prediction. Now, I'm assuming Mr. Scholes is kind of looking at all the cancellations, looking at some of the commentary made by industry insiders, and trying to get an idea of it, keeping in mind, by the way, that he's not looking at this from an operational standpoint. He's looking at this from a stock standpoint. What's the safe bet? What's the safe buy, right? He's not necessarily looking to maximize the value of the stock, but more like he's trying to see, okay, how do I reduce risks and get the best value for people who take my stock picks and whatnot, right? So you have to keep that in mind because, again, he's looking for the safe bet. But at the end of the day, everybody, including the cruise lines, are still trying to get all the answers as to when things can restart, and a lot of that has to do with the U.S. government. The single biggest question is when cruise lines might be able to get started with testing out some of the new procedures. And the answer is we're not exactly sure, because it appears that the CDC is probably holding things up from moving forward. Carnival's CEO recently talked to investors about this exact topic, and he tiptoed around the idea that the CDC is holding things up. Carnival Corporation CEO Arnold Donald said the Carnival is in phase 1 of the conditional sale order and said, quote, additional guidelines for future phases have not been issued yet by the CDC. Now, Mr. Scholes wrote in his note that, quote, there is concern amongst travel executives who believe that the recent CDC phased return to cruise is really a de facto no-sale order, end quote. And I kind of agree with Mr. Scholes on this one. Thus far, we've gone a number of months and seen very little to any progress in terms of moving beyond what was essentially the no-sale order with nothing happening to where we are today, which is still nothing happening under the conditional sale order. And that is troubling for a lot of reasons, because we all thought that, the CDC was being an honest broker in this, and we were going to see the opportunity for cruise lines to demonstrate that their new protocols can actually work. To that point, Mr. Scholes added, the concern is that the CDC's hurdles are so high that it will make it extremely difficult for the cruise lines to sail with paid customers, end quote. Now, the good news is demand remains strong in the form of bookings, and he expects pent-up demand for travel to boost cruises whenever they have the opportunity to restart. Now, you may have also seen our recent video with Richard Fain, who is Royal Caribbean Group's chairman and CEO, in which he saw that, yes, things don't look very good right now, but a lot of predictions for the future, especially as it relates to spring and summer 2021, look to be that the caseload is coming down, which is good news for everybody involved. And certainly, As the public health crisis begins to diminish, cruise ships and maybe other operations as well will be able to restart, and that's going to be good news for everyone involved. On the other side of the fence, Stuart Chiron, who is an industry insider, tweeted recently that several cruise lines will be announcing further cancellations of all April sailings. May sailings at this point are probably toast as well. Test sailings of 3 to 5 nights will occur. All 7-night sailings heading into summer are tentative at best right now. But the bottom line is, if you're looking at Mr. Scholl's comments, Stewart's comments, and really everybody else in between, no one knows yet. That's the biggest thing. You can watch all the videos here on YouTube, including this one, and read blog posts and look at all this, but there's just not enough information out there. This isn't like an NFL game in which you can look up the quarterback stats and see how they performed last week, last year, against this particular defense. You've got information to predict something based on this. In this situation, we're playing a game of essentially roulette, where we're just hoping that that ball is going to drop right where we want it and for cruises to finally restart. And eventually that will happen, in fact. But the bottom line is, news like this, in which one Wall Street analyst says something, doesn't necessarily hold all that much stock with me. It's certainly something to pay attention to, and I think it would be naive of us to not consider what everybody's saying and take that into account. But the bottom line is, certainly the exact timing for restarting cruises and test sailings and everything else in between, whether that's going to happen in spring, summer, fall, or winter, is still a big, big unknown. Now, if you're an investor, I think you're looking at it one way, and I think if you're a cruise fan, you're looking at it a completely different way. And there really isn't, again, another answer as to what you should or should not do. Should you cancel your cruise? Should you not cancel your cruise? We've talked about this here on our YouTube channel about should you make final payment for your sailing and a variety of other topics related to that. But the answer is nobody knows it. That's the thing. And that's something always to remind yourself about it, that you're not making a bad decision because you don't have all the facts. We're all in the same boat, get it? And we're all trying to figure out exactly where to go. Certainly this one Wall Street analyst believes this. But again, if you watch that other video with Mr. Fain in it, you'll see a completely different perspective on where things might restart. So we'll have to all wait and see what happens. But I'd love to hear in the comments below, what are your predictions? Now that I said that nobody knows, that's all right. Let's share our predictions out there. It's a tough question to answer. I don't even know the answer, quite frankly, because again, I can see it from all perspectives and there's good arguments to be made on either side. But I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. And when you think perhaps maybe there's a chance for cruises to actually restart, maybe one or two, that doesn't be the whole fleet by any means. Also, while you're down there, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on your notifications so that way YouTube lets you know when we have a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.